the man on the mission. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, do y'all remember the mornings when Biden used to call a lid before noon? Or when his enablers would shoo reporters out after every public event? Well, before noon today, Donald Trump made more pro-American policy announcements than Biden did in his entire first term. And he took more than a dozen questions from the press, no note cards. Then he got on a plane to Saudi Arabia for meetings with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and others. He hinted at a stopover at some point, maybe in Turkey, on the Russia-Ukraine issue. There's already a meeting set Thursday between those two powers. Now, I remember when Democrats used to demand peace. But now, it's Republican President Donald Trump who's the peacemaker.
I think good things can come out of that meeting. Stop the bloodshed of the horrible. It's a bloodbath. They're not American soldiers. They're from Russia. They're from Ukraine. But they're people. They're human souls. And they're being killed at levels that we haven't seen since the Second World War. We're working very hard to see if we can end that bloodbath.
Now, this would be good for all sides and better for us. We do not have another $200 billion to blow there, period. End of story. But the goal never changes. Trump wants to put points on the board for America, for our people, on domestic, foreign policy, all those matters. Trump 2.0 is acting like an administration operating almost on borrowed time. What do I mean by that? They all know that their window for making real change in Washington is narrow, and Trump's a man on a mission. Issues that other presidents ignored or even made worse, he's diving into them, straight into them, like resetting our global trade relationships, especially with China. But Trump's team met over the weekend with the Chinese, and both sides right now see a path forward. For at least the next 90 days, tariffs are coming down significantly. But can we really trust that China's going to change its ways?
Yeah, I think they're going to follow through. I think they want it very badly. I think they want the deal very badly. Again, this doesn't include the steel tariffs that I put on a long time ago that Biden tried to get off, but he couldn't get them off because it was too much money. You know, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China, what a lot of people don't know, but we put on the tariffs originally. And if I didn't do that, we wouldn't have a steel industry today. Now we have a thriving steel industry. It'll be thriving much more with what we're doing because this is the next level.
Well, we know this. Wall Street liked what it saw. The stock market jumped more than 1,100 points today. More on this with Jamieson Greer, the U.S. trade rep, who was in the negotiations in a few minutes. Now, there was also good news on the release of Eden Alexander, that American hostage held by Hamas for more than 580 days. Trump's team has been pressing for his release. Now, this is the moment his mother heard his voice on the phone for the first time in over a year.
They just released a photo of you, and you look unbelievable. Wow. You look beautiful. I love you so much, and I'm gonna see you, like, soon.
Well, they were celebrating in Israel and in Tenafly, New Jersey, where his family is from. Now, Trump has made bringing home all of our prisoners held unfairly by foreign countries a top priority. Fantastic. And then there's the small matter of Trump helping to prevent a nuclear war between India and Pakistan.
We helped also with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. That I can tell you. And all of a sudden they said, I think we're going to stop. We're going to do a lot of trade with Pakistan. We're going to do a lot of trade with India. We're negotiating with India right now. We're going to be soon negotiating with Pakistan. And we stopped the nuclear conflict. I think it could have been a bad nuclear war.
Again, could Biden or Harris have exerted any of this pressure? They wouldn't even know where to start. And their answer would have been something like, we're going to convene the UN Security Council for a meaningless vote on this. Now, finally, perhaps the most important move by Trump today was against the obscene prices Americans pay for prescription drugs versus the rest of the world. Pharma's probably going to take him to court over this, but if this executive order survives legal scrutiny, get ready to save a lot of money. More on this coming up with FDA Commissioner Marty McCary. But all of these big issues, taxes, deregulation, the cost of living, energy, the border, the pursuit of peace, the push for more investment in manufacturing in America. Look, Trump is firing on all cylinders. Not everything may work out. Not everything is always supported by a majority in Congress. But no one, and I mean no one, can doubt that we have a president who is trying with everything he has, pushing his staff 24/7, and he pushes them, to deliver results for the American people. Just think of where we were a year ago. The contrast could not be clearer. And that's the angle.
I hope everybody had a great Mother's Day weekend. But if you drank too much at brunch, you missed a lot. In 4 days, we got about 4 years of action. Trump signed a trade deal with Great Britain, then brokered a ceasefire between India and Pakistan, freed the final American hostage from Hamas, slashed drug prices, and now he's on the way to the Middle East. But China was the big kahuna.
Yesterday, we achieved a total reset with China after productive talks in Geneva. Both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue in the larger structural issues.
So we were in a toxic relationship with the Chinese. We got hooked on their cheap junk, and it was making us needy. You never want to be the needy one in a relationship. It's not healthy for you or the other person. So we're letting them down easy. Besant took the Chinese to a secluded Swiss villa overlooking Lake Geneva and locked the door. Scott sweet-talked them for about 14 hours and then convinced them that it was their idea to break up. We can still be friends, but we need some space.
I would say one of the big takeaways from this weekend, the United States will continue a strategic rebalancing in many areas that were exposed as supply chain weaknesses during COVID. The consensus from both delegations this weekend is neither side wants a decoupling.
America is going to take some time and focus on ourselves because the way things were going, we were being taken advantage of.
In January 2020, President Trump produced a template. We had an excellent trade agreement with China, and the Biden administration chose not to enforce it. The Chinese delegation basically told us that once President Biden came into office, they just ignored their obligations.
So China had a 4-year hall pass because our president was in a brain fog. Or did Joe let it slide because Hunter got bribed? The stock market loved the good news. Dow's up over 1,000 points. It's higher now than it was before Liberation Day. Now the panicans understand the art of the deal.
This, to me, is a signal that there is maybe a different kind of President Trump happening. President Trump seems to be looking for less confrontational style, and this may be the beginning of what I regard as being kind of a little more politics as usual, not for Trump.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
We're still keeping 25% tariffs on key industries like steel, aluminum, automobiles, and pharmaceuticals. COVID taught us we can't rely on China during a crisis. Everyone's been beating on us like a piñata and watching the candy fall out. We've been paying more for prescriptions while the rest of the world got them cheap.
Starting today, the United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries and will no longer tolerate profiteering and price gouging from Big Pharma. What we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize, where we're all going to pay the same. We're going to pay what Europe's going to pay. We're going to all pay. Now, it's called most favored nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world.
Democrats like equity. They should like equalizing. That comes out to about an 80% discount for a lot of drugs, even the ones that make you lose weight.
A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up and he said, "President, could I ask you a question?" "What?" "I'm in London and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take." I said, "It's not working." he said, I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on?
Big Pharma's not happy. Their lobbyists are fuming. And whatever happened to the politicians they greased?
President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry, too. I think they gave you $100 million. But he can't be bought, unlike most of the politicians in this country. There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump.
Trump should put the drug pricing in the big, beautiful bill. Force Democrats to vote against cheaper prescriptions. They can run ads against Democrats in the midterms. I cut your taxes and prescription costs. Democrats voted against it. Between cutting trade deals, the White House stopped a nuclear war.
On Saturday, my administration helped broker a full and immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of two nations with lots of nuclear weapons.
Two major wars kicked off under Joe Biden because he wasn't throwing America's weight around when other countries got frisky. It's a lot safer and cheaper for everyone if we prevent wars instead of funding them later. Trump's working on settling those too. He just freed the last living American hostage from Hamas.
I'm very happy to announce that Idan Alexander, an American citizen who until recently most thought was no longer living, thought was dead, is going to be released in about 2 hours, actually.
The president's on his way to the Middle East, and he's got one thing on his mind. Quote, all three countries have a ton of money. It's really that simple. Trump's looking to come home with over $1 trillion in investments. But it's not just money. Trump wants the Arab countries to put their neighbors in check, the Houthis, Hamas, and Iran. And he wants Saudi Arabia to get along with Israel. We expect a lot of big news out of this trip.
When a president goes on an international trip, the staff in advance secretly arranges what are called deliverables, so that the trip is pre-baked as a success because they have in their pocket some things they know they're going to announce. My understanding is this trip is filled with deliverables. There are more deliverables on this trip than white good and plenty and a box of good and plenty. Although the trip is focused on economics, watch for a potential mega diplomatic deliverable. You heard it here first, I think. Watch. I can't say what it is, but there may be a very big diplomatic deliverable.
This is a make or break year for President Trump. He doesn't get another shot at this term. Well, unless never mind. Every peace deal brokered, every investment announced, every trade pact signed creates a sense of destiny, unstoppable momentum that could make his second term the most transformational years of this century. His intentions are good. Better jobs, world peace, less waste. Everyone should be for that. If he succeeds, the country will be much better off. This isn't about left or right. All Americans should root for these victories. And remember, don't be a panican.
A sofa brand is looking for a professional napper and will pay $10,000 to rest and digest for the summer. Finally, a job that I'm qualified for, said one man. No. True, his qualifications include previously being laid to rest. All right, it was unnecessary. Earlier today, a jury was sworn in for the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Apparently, they took an oath while placing their right hand on the ass of an unconscious male escort. Oh, you like that one? I can't figure you people out. Finally, federal judges say unsolicited pizza deliveries to their homes are meant to intimidate them. In a related story, guess who wants to be a federal judge? Did that make sense? Okay. All right, monologue time. So right now, the Dems are the Charlie Sheen of politics, the junkie who realizes everyone was right. I got a serious problem and I need help. Take the Dems' resident twerp, DNC Vice Chair David Hogg, who actually said something true on Bill Maher.
Younger men, they would rather vote for somebody who feels who, even if they don't completely agree with, they don't feel judged by, than somebody who they do agree with that they feel like they have to walk on eggshells around constantly because they're going to be judged or ostracized or excommunicated. Ultimately, what we have to do here is figure out how to bring people back in and work towards the bigger goal of advancing the future of this country. Young people should be able to focus on what young people should be focused on, which is how to get laid and how to go and have fun.
Yeah. I like how he said get laid and have fun. Like the two are mutually exclusive. Although a lover who votes Democrat must be kind of a bummer. She won't let you sleep with her until you admit women should vote. Not gonna happen. But even the loudest, most annoying voices in the party are chiming in. Here's Jasmine Crockett auditioning for a job at Frontier Air. I bet there's a lot of people who are like, oh, let's go find the safest white boy we can find.
There's a lot of people that are like, you know what? Like, let's go find the safest white boy we can find. I mean, I'm just saying. No, for real.
A white man's got to do it. We're getting those callers.
For real. And to be clear, when we talk about them, I can tell you that there is one specific candidate. I had a donor on the phones with me telling me that all the donors are lining up behind that candidate. So I can tell, and I can tell you, it's not a black person nor woman.
Thanks, darling. The money's on the dresser. So now, I don't know what that means either. So now the left knows they must change. Some already are. Do you remember this lady? That's Stephanie Ruhle before Trump. Cute. This is her now. Who does she remind you of? I know. If I were Rachel, I'd be kind of worried. It reminds me of that stalker movie, Single White Female, except it's single white male. But what does this tell you? With Trump ruling the road of common sense, the Dems can only move more left. Ruhle wasn't always a left-wing scold. She spent 14 years in finance. Now she's mostly worried about the price of cats. Because she's, you know. My guess is Jen Psaki's next. By the second episode of her new show, ratings in the key demo, people 24 to 54 plunged, with 65,000 in the entire country tuning in. I could get that many reading Kilmeade's book on my OnlyFans. So how long before Jen Psaki goes from this to this? Because the Dems, they can't return to normal. On Friday, 3 Democrats stormed an ICE facility in Newark. Even the city's lefty mayor was arrested. I guess he knows that jail is safer than the streets of Newark. But these are the responses to Trump: theater, outrage, screaming. No wonder Dems have decided they need ideas. But first, they need ideas on coming up with ideas. And then you're going to need ideas for that, too. You know, ideas that would lead them to ideas, that would help them figure out ideas to create ideas. It's an infinite regress, with each move depending on a precursor. There's no bottom to their problem, because a bottom needs a floor, a foundational set of first principles. That would mean you have to say there's a culture with norms and traditions, rights and wrongs. But the Dems are that elevator shaft with no elevator in it. Whatever idea they have immediately falls 60 stories into the abyss. Now, we have a bottom that's easy to express. Law and order, safety and security, free markets based on a fair share of transfer of commodities. It's simple. I did that in 30 seconds. I didn't even have to look up from my online kangaroo porn. But if you lack foundational principles, you're screwed. Sadly, the Dems embraced a mind virus that deemed such principles oppressive. And now, without the foundation, they're trying to build a house on quicksand. And any crackpot idea can take hold. How did trans hysteria find root in their party? How did squatting and mass theft become acceptable? Why did the Dems circle their wagons around a gangbanger? How did Hamas become sympathetic? How did minor attracted persons stop meaning you wanted to bang coal miners? Look at how climate change just disappeared, like the ice caps were supposed to 30 years ago. I guess when you say the planet's going to expire in 5 years, where do you go next? blocking traffic, destroying paintings, calling the patron saint of electric cars Hitler? How do you go further left on no cash bail, open borders, men and women's bathrooms? It's like Howard Stern's shock comedy. Eventually you run out and turn gay. They've gone so far in the wrong direction, they've lost America. Of course, they could claw their way back to the middle, but it also means sharing the road that Trump owns. Common sense. But first, the Dems must find their bottom. Too bad their heads are stuck inside it. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's used to people walking out of his acts and his marriage. Actor, writer, comedian Jamie Lissow. He solves problems the old-fashioned way with physical violence. MMA star Colby Covington. She sometimes stops in mid-sentence to let her fillings cool. Outnumbered co-host Emily Campagna. And he used a whole book of stamps sending out Mother's Day cards. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA World Champion terrorist. Jamie, you've hit rock bottom. Some say many times.
Yeah, I remember once I thought it was rock bottom, and I was like, nope, you can go lower.
Yes. It feels like the Dems are at their rock bottom.
It does.
Can they get, what would you tell them to do at this point?
I would say just quit while you're behind.
Yes.
Can I just stop for a second? During the monologue, did you say kangaroo porn?
Yes.
Just want to make sure. It makes sense now, because I remember a while ago, I go, what type of porn do you like? And you go, whatever jumps out at me. Did I ever tell you?
I love how you had that whole setup there.
Yeah.
It's like, where's he going with it?
Yeah. My ex-wife wanted to film a porn once. She goes, you could be the pizza guy. And I go, that's cool. So I deliver the pizza and we get frisky. And she goes, no, after I have sex with that guy on camera, we're going to be hungry. That ice video is lunacy. They've lost their mind, and I honestly kind of believe. I don't know what could possibly bring them out of this rut. That ice video. In the video, I don't know if what I read said there was like a dude. I don't know if he was a congressman or something. He body slammed a female ice agent. Like, what are they doing? I haven't seen a man abuse a woman like that since the Paris Olympics.
That's what you call a callback. Colby, welcome to the show. We ask this question almost every night. Why are the Dems losing men? You're in the MMA. Yeah. I'm sure you have an opinion on this.
I mean, they're just a bunch of betas, you know, and they don't like alpha men. They don't like toxic masculinity anymore. They want to demasculize men, and it's not right. That's why, you know, a lot of the alpha males are leaving the Dem party.
Yeah, it's not just the alphas, though. Most men are.
Yeah.
I mean, Jamie left. He's not an alpha male. He's more... You're more like Zeta.
Yeah, Gamma.
Maybe Gamma.
He's an assistant to the assistant alpha male. It's my dog.
Is there any way could you see, like, guys returning to the party?
No. They've gone so far lunatic left that there's no returning. The DEI circus stuff that they're parading around and trying to rally behind is just, it's unacceptable, and it's anti-American, and that's why no alpha male will ever return to that beta party.
The beta party. The master beta party. Emily, they're struggling for ideas, but to have ideas, you got to have some basic principles. And I'm trying to think, what is the basic principle of the modern Democrat Party? And I can only think of power. That they see everything through the prism of power. Like, that's what identity politics was. If you are of this intersectionality, you have more power than this person. Yeah. Is there any other principle? I don't know what other principle there is.
I agree, because it's application. I would say, yes, control. And then the application of that, their strategy is resist. Now, I was on the West Coast this weekend, and someone had Someone had a huge chalkboard as their garage door, so people walking by could make art. And of course, there was someone that wrote a huge resist. And then people after that said, who and what and how? And that's exactly the question that these Dems aren't answering. So, for example, all of those lawmakers, and by the way, that was a female lawmaker that body slammed. Like, I know that it's easy to
What?
confuse, but yeah, exactly. Like,
What
that's,
do they identify as?
I mean,
She's fat, so I assume it's a
cares?
they.
totally. But the whole point is that they're provoking, right? They provoke to get arrested, so they have that notch on their belts. But then they cry that it's a dictatorship because who else would actually arrest lawmakers? And the irony that I find hilarious is that they actually have oversight. And I said, if you guys had just requested a tour, you would have,
they could have had a tour.
Yeah, doors are open for you anytime. But when you break in and you body slam ICE agents, then yeah, your ass is going to get arrested because mess around and find out. And it reminded me of when we covered the Burning Man protests, the shock of the protesters who were sleeping on the freeway at being like removed forced. Like, he touched me.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen? The consequences are real. So right now, all they're doing is having a tantrum to try to claw back that control that you talked about.
Tyrus, they could have had a tour, but they wouldn't have got the press.
They didn't come for no damn tour. They came for exactly that. We're going to do some dumb the people who could lose their jobs are not going to risk their jobs. So they can be the toughest guy in the room because they know security's not going to hurt them. So it's just more. Listen, this whole, even that stupid interview with the metrosexual DNC guy, that
David
Hobbs or
Hogg.
whatever.
Isn't it funny?
Who said, no, he's not funny. And I was like, I couldn't believe he's not. It's a joke. You mean to tell me, because you would like that, to where the only thing that young people are thinking about is getting laid and have fun. Well, that goes against everything that America's about. You just work your ass off, you get to a point. Fellas, once you get the whip in a little pocket in your ATM, you get laid a lot.
Yes.
Okay?
You're absolutely right.
So it just goes back.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. He missed the whole boat. I guess what he's trying to say is, I'm tired of these women telling us, he's saying, well, you know what, why don't you beat a man?
Beat man up. But that's not the only way this works. And this is a lot like someone trying to give dating tips to a cat lady.
Yes.
Okay? It took a long time for her to get there.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not one thing that's going to get her out. You feel where I'm going here?
Yes.
The Democratic Party, the only way it works is mass resignations.
Yes.
You have to get rid of all of them, her, him included.
Yes.
They're not, because they're fake. They are part of the problem. They all benefited during the 4 years of shadow government. They're the shadow government posing as Democrats. The only way is for all of them, one, confess their crimes and leave and never come back to government again. They won't do that, so they come out with stupid ass like on Bill Maher's dumbass show going, well, all we have to do is convince guys that we're not assholes. It's not going to happen. Doesn't matter how you do it, how you change it. They're corrupt. America sees it. There's only one way, a massive clean out. And they're not willing to let go of power.
All right. Let's move on. Up next, Trump notches more wins.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.